You know, folks, the price of gas skyrocketing, and this economy, terrible shape. People trying to save as much money as they can. So if you're like me, you want to do your shopping at the 99-cent store.
People, the price of gas is going through the roof because the economy is so bad. There are people who want to save cash. You want to shop at the 99-cent store, just like I do. Jay Leno, the famous late-night host known for his wit and charm, just broke some shocking news that is making waves in Hollywood and among his fans all over the world. Just now, people who know the comedian revealed that something very important has happened. Something that not even his most devoted fans thought would happen. Jay's story has always been interesting, from several decades on The Tonight Show to a quiet life with classic cars all around him. What he said today, on the other hand, shocked even close friends. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell before we go on. What you're about to hear could change the way you always think about Jay Leno. For years, Jay Leno seemed invincible. He was America's TV sweetheart and went from doing stand-up comedy to becoming one of the important parts in the history of TV. Jay did more than just host The Tonight Show. It was his calling in life. From his first show in 1992 to his sad goodbye in 2014, Jay embodied a time of great humor, heart, and hustle. But behind that big smile and his collection of classic cars was a man who was quietly fighting more than just a late-night bout. When the cameras stopped rolling, Jay's life turned into a slow, painful process of coming to terms with things. People who really know him say that he's been getting ready for months for this kind of news. After Jay stopped going to public events, big car events, and red carpets, fans started to talk about him cheating on his girlfriend. A lot of people thought it was just old age, but people who knew him well said it was likely something much worse. Jay is said to have told a longtime friend in a recent private conversation, "You can spend your whole life trying to make people laugh, but at some point you have to face the silence." That disturbing line now seems like a sign of what's going to happen. Folks know Jay Leno for more than just his funny shows and cars. He's also known for being strong. After getting badly burned in a garage fire and then in a motorbike accident, most people would have gone into retirement quietly. Jay didn't, though. He showed that nothing could stop him by coming back to the stage with scars but a smile. But now, this new information feels different, deeper, and more personal. Jay Leno told the news in a way that made fans wonder if his time in the spotlight is coming to an emotional end. The beginning of Jay Leno's introduction was simple, warm, and funny, just like any of his famous monologues. What happened next, though, caught everyone off guard. From his shed in Burbank, where he keeps his prized collection of cars, Jay looked right into the camera and spoke in a way that fans had never heard him do before. His words were full of strong feelings. He said, "I've had a blessed life." As the man who spent decades hiding his pain through humor said, "But there comes a time when you've got to be honest with yourself and with everyone who supported you." The flickering light of old headlights in the walls behind him was a quiet reminder of the world he built and loved. This time, he didn't make jokes. He didn't hide behind his smile. Instead, Jay talked about how his health has been getting worse since the crashes. Even though he didn't say it directly, people close to him say that his healing has been a lot harder than people thought. Some stories say that he can't move around as easily as he used to because of the stress of physical therapy all the time. Even more telling, Jay said he's been thinking about what really important: family, leaving a mark, and peace. "You can't take your garage with you," he said quietly, looking over at the cars he had spent his whole life fixing up. As Jay has always been on the move, from the stage to the studio to the garage, the confession left fans in tears. But it sounded like he might be getting ready to stop for the first time. People who know him say that his wife Mavis has been telling him to slow down for years, especially since his near-death experiences. Things changed after those times. Work and excitement used to drive Jay, but now he seems to be focused on being thankful and ending things. There was more to this speech than just news. It was a graceful way to say goodbye. Of course, there was still one part of the news that shocked everyone. Even old friends called him on the phone in shock after what he said at the end. Everyone was shocked when Jay stopped, took a deep breath, and said, "I've decided it's time to let go." The room went quiet. A lot of people who were watching the live stream were shocked by what they heard. Jay Leno, who defined an era of late-night TV and outlasted rivals who worked hard even after serious injuries, was saying something that not many people thought was possible. He's no longer going to be on TV or in the public eye in general. Jay's life was all about fun and engines for many years. In the day, he shot Jay Leno's garage. At night, he went to comedy clubs and often got home after midnight. He was one of the hardest workers in show business because he was always hungry to do better. But Jay said it also stopped him from enjoying the little things in life. He changed the tone of his voice and said, "I used to think you had to keep moving or you'd fade away. Now I know that being still doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're at peace." Those words hit home very deeply. Fans took to social media to share their sadness and thanks. Jay Leno's retirement became a global trend very quickly. What really shocked everyone, though, was how he planned to say goodbye. Jay announced that he is not going on a farewell tour or special. Instead, he is giving a large part of his collection of cars, some of which are worth millions of dollars, to a charity that helps young mechanics and engineers. He said, "These cars gave me a reason to live. Yet, they should be used to inspire the next generation, not just left to gather dust behind closed doors." Friends say it wasn't easy to make the choice. For Jay, his garage was a safe place, a museum, and a record of his life. Giving it up is a metaphor for the end of a long journey. But people who know Leno well will think it's typical of him. Not leaving with drama, but with kindness. The man who used to make everyone laugh every night now wants to make a. There is a difference in quiet. Fans still don't understand why now. What caused Jay Leno to decide to do this so quickly? Also, why did he sound so sad when he said that time is running out? Close friends of Jay Leno have known for a while that what he said was not as calm as it seemed. Jay hasn't been the same since the crashes that almost killed him. The first was a terrible fire in his garage in late 2022 that burned his face and chest 3 times. Within weeks, just as he was starting to get better, something else happened. A motorbike accident that broke several bones. People outside of Jay's family and friends thought it was funny that he was having trouble with gasoline and gravity. But people who knew him well say that the pain never really went away. The scars on their bodies healed, but the mental damage lasted. 1. Behind closed doors, he was terrified, said a longtime friend. Those accidents reminded him that time doesn't stop for anyone, not even him. Jay stopped going to gigs, avoided crowds, and spent long periods of time alone in his garage. Mavis, his loving wife of more than 40 years, could tell something was different. Jay had changed from being loud and naughty to being quiet and thoughtful. Friends say it wasn't sadness. It was understanding. He had made a fortune by making people laugh, but the near-death events made him face the one thing he'd always avoided, his own death. When the doctor said that another bad accident could be very bad, Jay began to think about how he wanted to be remembered. The shocking news we're seeing now came from that thought. People who are close to the comics say that Jay has been quietly taking care of his business, making sure that his huge collection of cars, which is worth more than $100 million, will go to museums, charities, and scholarships. This move shows how he has lived his whole life. Believe in working hard and helping others. When Jay broke his silence during his reveal and said, "There's something I haven't told anyone yet," fans knew the story wasn't over. The next words would change everything and show the real reason he was so sad to say goodbye. When Jay finally told everyone the real reason for his quick retirement, it shut up everyone who was against him. He dropped his voice and looked right into the camera. "I've been diagnosed with something that makes every day a little harder," he stated. The gravity in his voice was shocking for someone who spent his whole life making fun of problems. Even though Jay didn't say what was wrong, people close to him have confirmed in private that his doctors told him to stop doing anything that was hard on his body, like working long hours on set or in his workshop. Reports say that the burns and broken bones will have long-term effects, and Jay's nervous system had problems that make it hard for him to move and keep going. Fans have been noticing small signs for a while now. He walks more slowly, loses his balance sometimes, and doesn't go to his favorite car shows. Now it all makes sense. Jay said on his show that losing his fame isn't the hardest thing about getting older. Being aware that the body that helped you be successful for decades can suddenly stop working right. "Comedy kept me young," he said in a soft voice. But pain has a way of reminding you that laughter doesn't stop time. Jay didn't sound defeated either, even after his realization. He kept a smile on his face and said he wasn't scared, just thankful. "My dream came true. That chance doesn't come around very often. For more than 40 years, I got to do it. He also said that he wasn't going away totally, but that he was shifting his attention to mentoring young comedians and mechanics and helping them build their futures the way he did. As fans, with the help of the words of support, one thing became clear. Jay Leno wasn't making an announcement to make people feel sorry for him or get their attention. He was saying goodbye in his own way, with fun, honesty, and a sense of self-worth. But just before he signed off, Jay gave away a secret. "Before I leave for good, I need to finish one last job." That one line has led to a lot of guesswork and excitement. What might this last project be? Why does Jay not want anyone to know? There was a slow but steady progress toward the answer as fans tried to figure out what Jay Leno meant by his final project. People who are close to Jay said that he has been quietly filming a very personal documentary about life after the spotlight. It's not about cars or comedy, but about his own life. For months, he's let cameras into his house and garage to record unfiltered moments of deep thought, tinkering with machines, and emotional talks with the people who helped shape his journey. People have never seen this side of Jay. The stage lights and jokes are gone. It's just Jay, his tools, and the truth this time. The documentary, which is said to be called The Last Ride, is said to follow him as he fixes up one last car, the first one he ever bought before he became famous. "It's not about horsepower anymore," Jay said on his show. "It's about closure." His friends say that this project has become his therapy and a way for him to combine two things he's always loved: sharing stories and making machines. In each episode, a different part of his life will be shown. From the hard times he was in as a young comic sleeping in his car to the good times when The Tonight Show made him famous, he had it all. Even Mavis has been interviewed, and in them, she talks honestly about their marriage and how hard Jay's non-stop work life was on both of them. One director said Jay's goal isn't fame, but being thankful. His goal is to leave something that feels like a person. The producer said he's no longer scared of ends. The documentary also shows scenes from his recovery from burns, which he kept from his friends because it was so hard. It's honest, raw, and painful. Something very different from the polished picture he kept for decades. People who have seen early videos say it's some of Jay's most powerful work yet, even though he has said this will be his last movie role. One member of the crew said it's about a man who learns how to stop. "It still makes you laugh, though." In his mysterious last words, Jay said, "You'll understand everything when you see the ending." This makes people think there's one more twist they aren't ready for. There were more rumors about Jay Leno's last project in the weeks after his moving show. The reporters began. Many people are waiting outside of his famous Burbank garage to catch a glimpse of the man who used to look unbeatable. Jay didn't hide, though. He was working on what would become his legacy in a quiet and deliberate way. It all began with a handwritten letter that was very private and wasn't supposed to be made public until after his future documentary. In some way, that letter got out to the world, and what was in it made waves in Hollywood. Jay wrote for years, "I thought my job was to make people laugh when life wasn't funny. But what I've learned is that laughter is only half the story. The other half is love. The people you share the stage with, the audience who believes in you, and the woman who stands next to you when the lights go out." Those words went viral right away because they weren't scripted. They were raw, honest, and real, and for a man who had spent decades hiding his feelings, they were a big deal.